Hello and welcome to House and Home Chat, Real Estate Real Talk with Dena and Chris. I'm Dena Mathis.
And I'm Chris Breitenbach. Hey, welcome to our show today. We have a fun show planned for you, as today we are chatting with Katia Zhestkova, owner of Kenai Art Studio in downtown Mason, and we're going to talk about creating art.
Yeah, so we've talked with local Cincinnati art owners, art shop owners, but this is a little bit of a different twist because with Katia's studio, we're actually creating art.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a different twist. We're excited to get into all of that today. And then a little later in the Real Estate Real Talk portion of our program, we'll be discussing just some really fun facts about the city of Mason, where Katia's studio is located.
Love it, love it. And for now, we're going to welcome Katia to our program. Katia, you have such an interesting backstory. So let us start by having you tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, we'd like to introduce Katia and Benjamin.
Oh, well, and Benjamin.
So if you are listening on podcast, you'll want to get over to the YouTube channel and, give a look to our Benjamin today too, right?
Yes.
Welcome, Katia.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure being here and being on your show. And yes, I came to America about 30 years ago. So and I came from Russia, from Moscow. I grew up in Moscow. So I don't even know if I qualify as Russian anymore after 30 years.
After that many years.
After so many years in America.
Russian American.
Russian American, yeah, probably American.
Got
Yes, exactly.
it.
And I first came to Alaska because my father found a job. He is a scientist and he is studying permafrost, permanent ice in Alaska.
Well, that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, exactly. No, you don't go to Texas for that, right?
No, Florida, Texas.
No, not Florida, exactly. So I came to Alaska, and my family relocated to Alaska, and I actually lived at Kenai Peninsula, on Kenai Peninsula.
So now I get
it.
the studio name.
Exactly, that's
Very
a
good.
studio name. So Kenai, this is a native language, a native Alaskans language. It means black bear.
Okay.
And that's the place where I started my journey in America, and I loved it. Absolutely, it's a wonderful place. And that's actually where my mother is buried.
Okay.
So it has I have a very deep emotional connection, and we go visit it once in a while. We travel there a lot.
Nice.
So I thought that would be a great idea for my studio name, because I wanted the name to mean something to me.
There's a connection.
There's a connection. But the funny part is that I have Kenai Art Studio summer camps, and couple people from Kenai Peninsula actually registered because they didn't realize that they didn't look at the address.
Oh my goodness. So they're from that part of the world.
Exactly.
Signing up for
class. Exactly. So I had couple people from city of Kenai registering for my summer classes.
And you said, great, we've got some local hotels.
yes,
I can set you up in.
So I actually had to call them and tell them, by your phone number, I realized, but the area code, I realized that you're from.
I really appreciate it.
So I'm not sure you want to be in Mason for that, right? So that was interesting. So I came to Alaska. I had the chance to travel there extensively. And after a year and a half, I applied to several universities in the United States. I wanted to go to graduate school.
Mm-hmm.
And
was it in the area of art or studying?
I wanted to get a degree. When I came here, it was interesting because I was talking to my American friends, and they asked me, what do you do? And I said, I'm an artist. I'm a trained artist. And they said, congratulations, that's a ticket to starvation.
You said thanks. I can't wait.
So what am I
better
going
go to
to
school.
do? Yeah, so I thought, you know what, I really like art. I don't want to give it up, but I can combine it with something. So I decided to get my MBA in marketing and advertising, and I started applying, and Xavier gave me a scholarship.
Great.
And
so here we go.
That's what brought me to Cincinnati.
Wow, yeah, because that's a big, to me, that's almost a bigger move coming from Alaska to Cincinnati.
I don't know.
Good.
I think yes, yeah. The culture is totally different.
Yeah.
But coming from Soviet Union, because when I came, 30 years ago, I grew up in Soviet Union. The
Mhm.
culture was totally different. It was like coming from a different planet
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
to America. I had to relearn
Everything.
every skill that I
Yeah.
had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was it was interesting experience.
Yeah.
So
So you came to Xavier.
I came to Xavier. I got my MBA in marketing, and I worked for a marketing firm here in Cincinnati. I was an art director, and I really enjoyed that. I loved working for the agency, but it's when you are working for agency and you are creating art, you have to do what your clients want.
Mhm.
Yes.
And you guys are in real estate, you understand.
Right. It's not about the house that I love best.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
So I worked for a while there, and I realized that I want to go much deeper into art. It was not enough for me to do brochures and develop logos and marketing strategies. And I decided, especially after my son was born, I decided to redefine what I do, and I started freelancing.
Mhm.
I was home with my son for a number of years, and I started freelancing, and I did a lot of illustrations for different companies for packaging and for gift industry and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And after a while, and I worked from home, and I would email them my art,
Right.
and I started feeling lonely,
Mhm.
because when I worked for the agency, I would meet clients, I had wonderful coworkers,
Yeah.
I had social life.
Yeah. So
Right.
that social aspect was missing.
So the social aspect was missing, and I decided, okay, this is time to redefine what I do once more.
Love it.
And I started doing paint night events
Okay.
around
Okay.
Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky area, and I started doing art events. Like we would collaborate with local bars and local restaurants.
Yeah.
And I would take their
Create an
slow
evening,
time, and we would have, and I don't know,
Yeah.
I think everybody went to paint night or
Yeah.
I've done
a couple of them, and they're so fun.
Some paint, some wine.
Yeah, and the more you drink, the better you paint, right?
The better I paint.
Exactly. Or
Better
at least,
not drive, but please paint, right?
or at least the better it looks to me.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And every time, and I had, oh my goodness, I had many events. We had 3 or 4 events per week, and it was so much fun. But every time I was, working with people, and we had this wonderful event, people would approach me and ask, "Do you teach classes? Do you teach? Can I bring my child?" And I would say, "No, I don't teach. I just have the paint night events." And people more and more were asking me,
They were looking for that.
They were looking for that.
Yeah.
So there was a need for art classes for children.
Okay.
And again, it was time to redefine, what I do.
Yeah.
And again, it was still art, and it was still what I love to do. But I realized that if there is a beautiful need for it, and then a lot of people are asking me, it would be wonderful to find a place where I could teach art. And I found this place. We renovated everything, and I was extremely excited. And it was March of 2020.
Oh, lovely.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
What a great time to reinvent yourself.
Yes.
Redirect.
Right in the middle of, or right in the beginning of COVID, right?
Right in the beginning of COVID. It was like my husband was telling me, you couldn't find better time to open your business. Exactly. So, it was very challenging. It was very challenging, but I wanted to teach art, but my main goal was to do my own art. So during COVID, I did a lot of my own art. It was time for reflection. It was time for meditation. The space gave me the ability to, separate myself from my family. Remember, we were all sitting together for a while, stuck together for a year, right?
Yeah.
So I think that saved my marriage.
You could escape to
Yes,
studio here.
exactly.
And speaking of studio, so tell everybody where your studio is.
My studio is on Main Street. It's 105 East Main Street. It's right in the middle of Mason downtown. I think it's a wonderful location. And I think it's very convenient for everybody in Mason. Everybody, and I think it's wonderful for people because a lot of parents drop their kids and they have a chance to go and enjoy Mason downtown.
Yeah.
They go and get pizza, or they enjoy a Dessa coffee shop, or they go to Cervatis. So I think the location, gives parents a lot of flexibility. So while not sitting here waiting for their kids, they have a chance to explore.
Right, it's a very walkable downtown. So you're right. It gives everyone an opportunity to kind of explore the nearby area.
Exactly, and I really enjoy this old building. I enjoyed that
the architecture, and the space.
Exactly.
So going by the studio from the outside, I think I always thought you sell art here, right? But you don't actually sell pieces, do you? Or do you sell some?
It's not. It is not an art gallery, so to speak. I don't have pieces on the wall with price tags, but I create art and I sell art at the art shows.
Yeah. Okay. So you do art shows.
Yes, and if people like something on the wall, they can ask. You know what I mean? But this is not a studio. This is not a space where I try to sell my art.
It's about creating.
It's about creating art, exactly.
Got it. And so you mentioned parents dropping children off. Do you are you specifically teaching art to children or certain ages, or do you teach to adults also? What's your niche?
I teach children.
Okay.
I teach children, and I did some adult classes too. But I found out that I enjoy teaching kids more than I like teaching adults. For adults, we do create we do certain art events.
Okay.
And people can always contact me and have a private art event for their friends.
Okay. So if Chris and I wanted to have, I don't know, an art event here, you would do like a night, like an art event evening or something.
Exactly. And with adults, and when you start teaching adults, it's very different from teaching kids. Kids are full of joy. They are ready to create. With adults, I would say it's much more effort to open them up for different possibilities.
You're already a little bit set in your ways, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I still enjoy it. I don't want to sound like I still enjoy it very much, but I just, it's such a pleasure to see kids creating beautiful art pieces and how much joy it brings them.
Yeah. I get that the psychology of that would be quite different.
Oh, very different. Very different. With adults, I see a lot of self-doubt. They tell me, they always start, I'm not an artist. It's a disclaimer, so here's disclaimers.
Don't judge me.
Don't judge me. I'm not an artist. Exactly.
But everybody's an artist. It's just how you channel that art.
Exactly. Absolutely. Very good point. I think we get conditioned.
Right.
Or I have this ability, but I don't have others.
Right.
I just have this ability. No, you don't. You're universal. You're this wonderful being that can explore. And maybe you didn't have a chance to try painting. Maybe you didn't have a chance to try drawing. But if you do try it, I'm absolutely sure that anybody, at any kind of age, can create beautiful art. It might take a little longer. That was a revelation to me when I started doing art events.
Okay.
Because, in my professional life, I worked with clients and I worked with other professional artists, right? I didn't really have a chance to work with general public painting with them. So when I started, my first group was my very first paint night event was at the church, and all the ladies who came, they were older than 80.
Okay. Okay. So you definitely had a certain demographic.
I had some demographic, and we're starting, and I have very low expectations. And I apologize for that. I'm thinking, I don't know how it's gonna go. It's probably gonna be very easy. I don't expect anything. How?
Yeah.
Those are not artists.
Yes.
How are we going to do it? And I remember this lady, she sat down and she started painting, and my jaw dropped to the floor because it was absolutely beautiful.
Wow.
The colors were brilliant.
So it taught you something.
Oh, yeah, that readjusted my attitude right away.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that was a revelation to me. And I asked her, I said, are you an artist? And she said, no, I've never painted in my life.
Wow.
And she was about 82, 85, something like that.
I love that. See, and you're never too old to start something new,
and to discover some hidden talent that you have.
Never too old. Never too old. So I've seen people at any kind of age, any kind of life situation, and they come and they paint, and you will be amazed. And that's a discovery to them. Wow. I did that.
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And is painting the medium that you work with, or, in terms of doing the art classes with the young children, is that what your focus is paint? Or
People ask me all the time, are you teaching drawing classes? Are you teaching painting classes? I don't separate.
Okay.
Because I think it would be pretty boring if we were just drawing all the time. I think for children, they would get bored. So I try to vary. So for a couple lessons, we can paint. For a couple lessons, we can draw.
Great.
And we can play with clay. We can do collages.
Okay.
We try different materials. Of course, everybody has a preference. So I am a painter because it's easier for me to express my feelings through colors. But I have a lot of students who like drawing. It's easier for them to create black and white art. So it depends on your personality. But I do teach both at the same time. I think they should be taught together.
So it's more about the creative process.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that. How do you bring that out or foster that in your students?
That's a wonderful question, and that's what people ask me. A lot of parents ask me when they do an initial phone call. Do you teach art? Yes, I do teach art. What results should we expect? We're so result.
He's going to be a master artist in 10 sessions.
It's try saying that to parents. They want Mona Lisa. After 5 classes, they want Johnny to bring Mona Lisa home. Yes. So I actually tell them, if you start at violin, will your kid start playing Mozart in 5 sessions? No. But they ask, what kind of result can I expect? What kind of result? And my son or my daughter, they don't want to be professional artists. Should we take art classes? And I always tell them, it's not about art, so to speak. This is about learning creative process, how to be creative. And what is creativity? The ability to generate new ideas, the ability to look for new patterns, the ability to generate original solutions to the problem. Okay, that is applicable to any kind of profession. That's what you ladies did.
Exactly.
Coming back to our conversation about you starting your beautiful broadcast, very informative broadcast, right?
Right. We knew nothing about podcasting, right, Chris?
We've come a long way.
It was just about the creative process and how we could share your story and so many other local business owners with the rest of the Cincinnati area or and beyond, right?
Yeah. So you
connecting.
I would think that you brainstormed, you came up with this wonderful idea, and you created the process, you executed the idea, right? And you are still adjusting if you need to. So that's a great example of creative process. So creativity can be applied to any kind of activity, right?
I love that. So it's not just in your classroom environment, but what you're fostering is this creative learning spirit outside in the real world.
Exactly, and the artwork, creating an artwork is a perfect example. How you actually apply creative process. And it allows you to learn creativity. You can write a book. It's very time consuming, or you can do scientific testing. It's very time consuming. Artwork can be a short creative project, right?
Yeah.
So we start with an idea. What would you like to do? And then I teach kids to do the research, because actually artists do the research. If you want to paint a flower, let's research it. Let's look at the structure. Let's understand the symmetry.
Right.
So you use your power of observation. And then you brainstorm, and you get this, you let yourself, your mind work a little bit, and you get this beautiful idea, how I'm going to paint this, how I'm going to create this composition. And then I teach them the execution. And it's very rewarding, because after it's all done, they end up with this beautiful artwork.
Yeah.
So they can. I walk them through the whole process of creating something of value,
right?
I guess
it is rewarding, because it started from an idea, right?
It starts with an idea, and in 1 hour, hour and a half, or sometimes it can take 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. We end up with this beautiful piece. And I always have a talk with parents. I encourage parents to appreciate their kids' art, not to start giving their input. Okay, no, just appreciate it. Don't, this is my job to give some kind of direction and my observations, but for you, enjoy it. Put it on the wall, coming back to real estate, coming back to your own home. Create a place where you display your kids' art or your own art, right?
And that's to the point of, these programs that we've done where we're talking about selecting art for your home that brings you joy. What greater joy than hanging a piece of art that your child's created or that you've created?
Right, and anywhere along the way. So, Dena, you've been to my house. We've got a work on an easel that was one of my son's works in high school.
Chris does have some artists in her family. Yeah,
I do, and so it was just part of one of his projects, and we had it out when he graduated, and we've never put it away. So it just it's a sketch. It's the insight to it is what I love, and I love everybody's different perspectives of it and what they. It's his backpack, but people have different perspectives of it. But that kindergarten, we've got some pieces from kindergarten that were like coasters or something that are so fun to have, right? And it just looks at, oh my gosh, this is the creativity of a 5-year-old, and seeing that process. But I love the whole psychology in the process, the thought of the process, and coming from point A to point B. Because that's a life skill.
It is fascinating, for sure.
It's a life skill. And another thing is, we're all here to find out who we are, right? We're here to explore who we are. So this is the creative process gives us all, a way to understand who we are in this world and what we want. And because every piece of art, like you mentioned, you create something unique, and you learn about yourself in the process. Art is not only about the final result,
right?
It's
I think sometimes we focus on that too much, right?
Right,
exactly.
And maybe as adults we focus on that too much.
Exactly.
And that's probably why you love teaching children, right?
Yes. I mean, I don't take me wrong. I like teaching adults, but with adults, they are definitely result-oriented, because if they work at work and any kind of activity at work, you're measured by your results, right? You're as good as your last project. Well, when they come here, I always tell them, you don't have to leave this beautiful artwork because it's not realistic. It's not realistic to expect. I mean, I'm a professional artist. Do I produce a beautiful artwork every time? No, no.
Right.
Because a lot of times you are just challenging yourself. You explore, you experiment, and the fun is there.
Yeah. The growth, right?
The growth, the personal growth, exactly. So if you don't go home today with a beautiful art, it's okay. You had hour and a half of exploring, and your, so to speak, mistakes. They're afraid to make mistakes. That's where the learning
takes place.
Place, exactly. And it takes courage to do art.
It sure does. Nobody wants to produce something that they're like, oh, that doesn't look so good. But when you put it that way, it changes perspective. And I would assume that it changes your perspective and how you approach things in life. Like, you don't have to sit down and solve this today, but you can look at it in lots of creative different ways and perhaps come up with a solution tomorrow or the next day, or whatever.
You adaptive flexibility. That's what it teaches you. Adaptive flexibility.
Adaptive flexibility.
Exactly. Okay. And I always tell my students, and I tell myself, that art comes with self-doubt. Self-doubt is a very valuable quality of creative process. At some point, you will have self-doubts. It will come for a short term, for a little bit of time. You will be self-doubting, and I tell my students, expect that. This is the part of the process, and whatever you do in life, you will have moments of self-doubt. Should you quit? No,
right?
Because whatever you do, art take determination, right? You have to have determination. So at this moment of self-doubt, you just tell yourself, here comes self-doubt. Okay, here we go. All right, now I can move on.
Right.
But you expect it. So my kids, when they are doing something and I can see that they're at the point of self-doubt, they stand there and they're staring and they're not sure what they're going, and it might be frustrating. We always say, oh, here we go. Here is self-doubt. Yeah, all right. So let's move on. That's okay.
Right. They know how to deal with it.
They know how to deal with it. And for teenagers, it's extremely important.
It's the mindfulness that we talk about, right?
Yeah. And the life lesson, the mindfulness, finding your space.
Exactly. I've got a niece. She's I don't, how old is Alexa? I can't remember now.
She's getting way too old.
She's in second grade, and she loves to draw, and she does it mostly when I see her when she's sad and she can't express herself. She'll just go and she'll grab whatever she's using, crayons or colored pencils or paint, and she'll create these beautiful works. And I notice, it comes out of a lot of emotion. So I would suspect that there is a huge, benefits in creating art as like an emotional, mental release as well.
Oh, definitely. That's why there is a whole field of art therapy, right? We through school we are taught to express our emotions verbally, right? Verbalize. Let's talk. Well,
some people are not talkers.
Exactly.
Right.
Some people are not talkers.
Yeah, that's Alexa.
A lot of people need another language to express their emotions.
Yeah.
They are not verbalizing.
That's a great point. I'd love to see what she would do in
your
classroom.
And there is nothing wrong with that, right? It's just a different way of expressing their emotions, of self-soothing, and this is a lifelong skill. So people, instead of getting into bad habits, they know what brings them joy. They have this creative outlet. And art here in America, oh my goodness, you can explore so many different materials. You go to Michael's or any kind of art store.
Yeah.
you can spend a lifetime
Yeah,
trying
just
everything,
trying
walking
right?
up,
Yeah.
just walking up and down
Yeah.
the aisles.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What can I do
Yeah.
with that?
Exactly. So this is that's endless joy that you can try and improve your mood, improve your well-being, reconnect with yourself.
Yeah.
Right? So if you don't want to be a professional artist, this is fine. Art classes are not only if you want to be a professional artist. No, it benefits, it enriches
Lots
your
of
life
benefits.
so much more.
Yeah.
How young do you recommend children start exploring art and start taking classes?
I take students as young as 4.
Okay.
As young as 4, and of course, when we, when they're that young, it's about hand-eye coordination. It's about fine motor skills. So, I have to teach them how to hold the brush. I have to teach some adults how to hold the brush. Yes, exactly. But how we hold the brush, how we mix colors,
Right.
how we use the eraser. So
Yeah.
a lot of basic skills. But I've been, this is my 3rd year. And before that, I had some private students. So I can tell you that the earlier you start, the faster and better they get.
Okay.
I can see a real improvement in my students who have been with me for 2 years. And we talk about art history. We talk about different artists. So it's not only about your own art. It's about being included in this beautiful thousands and thousands of history of humankind creating. How fascinating is that?
It is fascinating.
So I want them to understand it's not only it's you and your pencil and your sketchbook. No, it's thousands of years of people, artists creating this beautiful art, and we can tap into it. We can learn so much from it. And they learn about ancient Egypt. They learn about Renaissance. So we travel. We try to travel through history,
world art history,
and you show them. You show them the art of Egypt, which was done for 4,000 years BC. And they are and they don't. They cannot even comprehend that.
They did that long ago. That was
long ago.
Or they produced something that
was
with the tools and what kind of tools were they?
And how amazing it still is, because we go. I do go to our art museum once a year, probably. I should go more often. But I know that's one of the things that we always notice is, oh my goodness, the age of that, and the detail, and how can it still be, and the skill. With such primitive tools and the colors.
Exactly.
Yeah, great points.
Absolutely. So when we start talking about history of human, they said, oh, they didn't have cell phones at that time. They didn't have computers. Yes, but technological advances and art history. This things. They still could do amazing things.
Right.
They even could do things that, like in Renaissance paintings, that we rarely now we could reproduce. So that's a huge lesson. I think that's a very valuable lesson to children, that you are not alone as an artist. You belong to this wonderful community of people who've been doing it
for centuries.
For centuries, exactly, thousands of years. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you teach lessons by the class, by a particular session? Can people customize like whatever package they'd like?
I always tell people, because, I when I was growing up, I went to art school. Yes, you had to pass several exams to get accepted. And you had to be in a certain level, otherwise they would remove you from that school. Here, I meet you where you are.
Okay.
I don't have a chance to select my students. This is not what I want. you sign up your child, and I meet them where they are.
Mhm.
So the first lesson, I work with a child, and I see what the interest is, their skill level. And even though there are 6 or 7 students here, I work with each one individually, and I
Okay.
expect different results. I expect different pace.
Yeah, that's a good point,
Mhm.
because everybody is coming in at a different skill level, right?
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And people have different commitments.
Yeah.
You know, some people come
True.
every week, months after months, and some people come sometimes when they have a chance to come.
Mhm.
Okay.
You know, and that's fine
So you
too.
can
It's
drop
just
in, schedule an appointment, and drop in too.
yes. If I have a space in the
Yes,
class,
space,
you
okay.
can come for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 classes. You
Mhm.
don't. That doesn't have to be. I don't right now at my website. You can register for 1 class.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, it's not like you have to register for
Got it.
Yeah.
10-week
Okay.
session or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to lock you into
Mhm.
into commitment. If you don't like it, you don't like it, or it doesn't
Mhm.
work out.
Or
doesn't
maybe it's
work
not
out.
the right time.
Maybe it's not the right
But
time. Maybe it's
it
not the
will
right
be.
fit.
But
You know.
it keeps the door open though.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Gives you a chance to
Exactly.
explore.
But I meet children where they are, and I try to work with them how they want to be taught. You know, it's not a school where we teach everybody the same thing.
Mhm.
You know, I try to work with them individually.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've gotten to know a little bit about what you do, or a lot about what you do here. I mean, I can have some guesses, but I'm going to ask what motivates you about what you do?
Yeah, that's a good question. And,
I love that. I love that question.
I love that
How much
question.
time do you
Yeah.
have?
How much time do you have?
Yeah, just a high level.
I am, I'm a spiritual person. I believe in God. I'm Christian, and I am absolutely in love with the beauty of this world. It gives me so much pleasure to look around. We're surrounded with so much beauty. And as a trained artist, I have a power of observation. I like to observe. I like to take it in. So I really try every day to give myself time to really look, because we don't really look in life. We glance, and we move to different tasks. We are trying to make money. We are trying to work. We're trying to take care of our family.
Or we want to talk more than we want to listen, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm really motivated by the beauty of this world, and I do what I do out of admiration for what we have. We live in beautiful surroundings. God gave us a beautiful, absolutely amazing world, and I try to make an effort every day to see it and enjoy it. And I want to share this love. I don't share my religious beliefs with anybody. This is not what I do in my teaching. I respect everybody's opinions and their traditions, but I do want to share the love for art and self-expression and expression for the beauty in the world.
That's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
That is
Thank
just
you.
beautiful.
And you clearly have a passion. Yes.
I do.
For what
I'm
you do.
blessed with that. Yes, I do. I do have a passion. And Benjamin helps. He helps me.
He has a passion to just be loved.
He's quite content sitting there with you today.
Yes, and he actually, I used to bring him all the time to the studio, because with kids, when they come first time and they're very shy and they don't know what to expect.
Great point.
They spend some time with Benjamin, so they have a chance to pet him, and he's very friendly. And I think that breaks the ice for them. It makes it much more, much friendlier space.
Right.
And you can see, I mean, on radio, of course, you won't, but I'm pointing to many little drawings that kids of Benjamin.
Benjamin's on the door.
Yep, we've got Benjamin on the wall, Benjamin on the door, Benjamin's all over.
So he's like a therapy dog.
Yes.
A companion dog here.
He's a mascot.
And that's very fitting. To me, it's very fitting.
Yeah. Is there anything that we haven't touched on, Katia, that you'd like to share?
I want to share, and I mentioned that with in our prior conversations, that I love the diversity of Mason.
Okay.
I have students whose parents came from many, many different countries. And I think that makes Mason such a special community here.
Yeah.
And all these kids from different backgrounds, they come here and they paint and they draw together, and I can see cultural influences. You know, they all bring something different to the studio. And I think this is absolutely wonderful. That makes my work so much more interesting.
Right, it enriches you.
It enriches me, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Mason has a rich history, and there's been a lot of growth and business development and a lot of diversity that it's brought into the area. So I can see where you get a real diverse grouping of children and families.
Yes, and I really enjoy communicating with their parents, you know, and listening to their stories. You know, I always ask where where you come from, because that that's very close to me,
personal,
close and personal to me. So it's interesting to find so many people from all around the world here in living here in Mason.
My parents immigrated in 1969 from Greece.
Oh, really?
Didn't come straight to Mason, but we all landed nearby.
So pretty close.
Yeah, we all have a great story, and Chris as well.
Yeah. You know, for me, it was my grandparents immigrated from Poland and Croatia, and I grew up in Cleveland, a very ethnic area, right? Communities growing up. And so I just embrace all of that for people.
Yeah, and that opens your mind so much more, you know, when you have a chance to be surrounded by people from different communities, from different cultures. Yes,
definitely.
Exactly.
So if somebody wants to sign up for classes, do they go to your website? Do they call
What's the best way to reach you?
Website is a great way to reach me. You know, right now I'm the only one who is teaching. You know, I'm looking to hire another artist to teach the classes. But website has all the details, all the contact information.
Okay.
And so for all of you on who are watching us on YouTube, you know by now, we're going to post at the end of the show, we'll post a slide with that website address.
Yeah, so that's our program for today. We thank you. We welcome you, and we thank you for joining us. It's been really just an enlightening program. I've learned so much.
I have too, and you're just delightful. I could talk to you all day.
I agree. Maybe we'll just go to the coffee shop next and continue on. I would love it. Thank you, Katia.
Thank you. Katia, thank you so much for joining us today. Our small business shout out goes to Kenai Art Studio in Mason, Ohio.
Yeah, and we're still here in Katia's studio. It's such a great, warm environment, but we are switching gears into the Real Talk portion of our program and exploring some little tidbits about the downtown Mason area and all that it has to offer.
Yes.
Yeah. So how long have you lived in Mason, Chris?
So we've lived here a very long time. We've lived here for over 30 years. And so I always say when we first moved here, you know, we were driving past, I would take my son to daycare, which we had Joe a couple years after we moved here. And there would be farm animals, and you know, a lot of open space and farm space. So I love the history. I feel like I've gotten a chance to observe part of that just because of the fast growth in that time frame. So thinking of that history, Mason is just full of it. Obviously, it is a northern suburb of Cincinnati, just right in between and right on that 71 and 75, so easily accessible from either of our major highways. Hey, June 1st, 1803, so we're coming up on an anniversary, a great anniversary. William Mason, a Revolutionary War veteran, paid $1,700 at an auction. Oh yeah, to purchase 640 acres of land.
Wow.
Right here in downtown Mason. So right where we
Can
are
you
sitting.
Imagine? Just $1,700.
640 acres. Boy, what that would go for today. And again, we're sitting the spot where we're at was a part of that.
Right where Katia's studio is
Yes.
located. And so, yeah, Mason remained a very small farming community for a lot of years. And in 1970, actually, there were fewer than 5,700 residents living here. So,
and we moved in the 80s or 90s.
Yeah. So it was very rural for a
yeah.
really long time. And then in 1971, it was incorporated and today covers 18 square miles and is home today actually to over 30,000 people and over 500 businesses. So the boom in those last like 30 years that you've been here is kind of where it all, I think, started and began and has grown exponentially.
Absolutely. And, our city continues to, I call it our city just because we live here. It continues to expand and grow rapidly. I love that it's always changing. It is being recognized as a very progressive city and attracts a lot of businesses, right? So I will offend people, I'm sure, but you think of the fact that we've got Luxottica. When I worked for them, it was LensCrafters, Luxottica and Cintas, and of course P&G and Mitsubishi and Intelligrated. But there's all these businesses here that Mason has made very attractive for them that helps support our growth.
Right, exactly. It's also recognized as a large resort area.
Oh,
right?
yes.
So growing up, even though I didn't live in Mason, we came to Mason because Kings Island was here, right?
I came here from Kings Island, from Cleveland. Yeah.
So this area of Southwest Ohio with Kings Island, Great Wolf Lodge. We've got the Western Southern tennis
one of my favorite events.
Exactly. So we're really lucky to have all of that in this community. So with all that business also brought the housing. Yeah, exactly. So the housing explosion in Mason. So Mason is comprised mostly or was farm homes, right? A lot of farming community and farm homes. But there are a lot of single family homes. Statistics will kind of take you in different price points, but right around that 370,000 is kind of the medium price range. But there certainly are a fair amount of patio homes and condos and apartment rentals as of recently as the community has changed and the needs of the community have changed and the diversity of the community has certainly changed. Yeah.
Absolutely. I know, Tom and I, when we moved here, first off, one of us worked in Dayton, one of us worked in Cincinnati.
So that's
and a lot of our friends, right, we're Dayton grads, and a lot of our friends had, somebody worked for like a LexisNexis and somebody worked in downtown Cincinnati, and it was kind of that nice medium. But
smack dab right in the middle.
We came not only for that, but in our early parts of our marriage. I mean, I was 24 years old or whatever when we bought our first home here. We could afford a home.
Yeah.
And now we're on house number 3. We're fairly settled. We'd probably move one more time. But we came because we could buy a home.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. The affordability, because it was outside, a little bit outside the city. Yeah. It was still very rural. And same for us. We've been here, probably
You've been here a while.
Yeah, probably about 25-ish plus years or so. We lived in the Eden Park area when we were first married, and we're looking to buy our first home, and affordability was a huge factor. So coming out to Mason, it made sense. Plus, there was a lot of new housing, and that's where it just kept growing and growing. So you got a new product, right? You got a new home. I think our first home, had been lived in for 2 or 3 years. And from there on, we've moved once since then. But the community.
And you built that one too.
And we built that one too.
Our first 2 homes were new construction. Yeah. One was we built, and the second one was a market home. So 2 homes never lived in.
Exactly. So there was a lot of land, and it was really exciting to see a lot of the businesses bring growth to these new neighborhood communities. So that's why we ended up here, and we still live here, right?
Yes, love it. Love the community, the accessibility, the sidewalks,
award-winning schools,
and the sidewalks.
And
I know that sounds simple, but you know, Dena and I walk, and I walk with several people, and I just love that I can go anywhere on a 4-mile track.
Right, exactly. We were just talking with Katia about, you know, meeting here in the downtown area and then walking through, you know, the different Corbin Nixon Park, and you've got Pine Hill, and you've got just, you know, so many beautiful walking trails. So,
and Quatman's is a good,
and then you can stop for a burger.
For a burger halfway. From where I live, Quatman's is halfway around the block.
Exactly.
Pizza and a beer at places. Yeah, it's all good.
Exactly. So yeah, they're, you know, the top rated schools continue to bring people into the community.
Yeah.
The diversity, there's a very strong, robust economy here. The fun amenities that we talked about, like Kings Island, and those are all great reasons why homeowners want to live in Mason, Ohio. So if you are looking or thinking about making a move, please contact Chris and I at Dena and Chris Realtalk at gmail.com, or you can Google Dena Mathis, Chris Breitenbach to find us, and we'd be happy to help you with that search, right?
Absolutely. Whether you're looking to sell your home in this area or another area, or you want to explore moving to our community. Today's a beautiful day.
It's a beautiful
day.
The
weather has turned. It is a beautiful day. It is a beautiful day to buy a home. It is a beautiful day to sell a home. So thanks for listening. Make sure you watch us and like us, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Bye.